Before we go ahead with this video, guys, make sure you've checked out part 1 of the Big Finish video series. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to make sure you're notified when a new video comes out. And now, on with the show.
Oh, and also there's, one thing they really should do is get Leandro the Lion Man into the show.
Absolutely, and we definitely need a crossover with the Absorbaloff.
Oh, for sure.
And then in the series finale we get a sneak reveal that it was the Candyman all along. And the trees from In the Forest of the Night, and Maeve comes back somehow. I don't know, but Big Finish just needs to do this. They need to give the people what they want.
Did you know that Candyman is actually in Big Finish? Yeah, there are a couple of stories with the Candyman.
Has he got his own series?
Yeah, no. He's in like a couple of stories. Apparently people really like him.
Heads or tails, Doctor?
Tails. Well,
That would be telling.
Yeah, I think hands down, my favourite performer or actor to be in Big Finish is Derek Jacobi as the War Master.
Oh yeah.
Listening to those audios, Derek Jacobi, like the War Master, might be my favourite incarnation of the Master, next to like Roger Delgado and John Sim, because his voice is so elegant, so posh, and he has that.
Yeah.
He has a voice you want to listen to, and
I agree.
he's kind of alluring, kind of manipulative, and that plays so well into the Master's personality.
Yeah. Jacobi was really wasted as the Master in Utopia.
He is good in Utopia, but he's playing Professor Yarn and not the Master in that.
It's like a couple scenes as the Master.
Yeah.
And then, he regenerates.
He gets shot.
And it would have been nice to have like an episode or couple, like with him as the Master and then John Sim. No slight against Sim, he's good. But Jacobi, right, if you listen to him in the audios, like you could download Beneath the Viscoid, since it's free on website. He plays the role as this kind old grandfather that helps people, and it seems quite nice on the surface, and then he just turns like that, and he kills someone horribly,
Turns on someone's back,
and he just doesn't give a damn, and he very quickly moves on, like, from people he kills.
The Master of Manipulation.
Yes, I think that's the big thing about him.
They even imply that he sort of has, not to go into spoilers, but he has kind of powers of hypnotism.
Oh no, they bring that back. That's something that isn't in the show very much recently. But in the audios, he can do the whole I am the Master, and you will obey me.
I think mentioned in the Beneath the Viscoid. I'll put this in the description, but we found a page on the Big Finish website where there's just a load of free audios. So if you want to check that out, there's the first part of the War Master box set there. There's a few others as well that are quite good.
The other thing is, you could get like a free trial on Spotify for like a month.
Which is what I did to listen to a lot of Big Finish.
And there is a ton on there. Robert Shearman plays, except for Scherzo. There's spare parts. There's a lot of the Sixth Doctor stories. Quite a bit of the Fifth Doctor stories.
A lot of Eighth Doctor, Paul McGann.
Yes. So one of my favourite audios in Big Finish's catalogue is Chimes of Midnight by Robert Shearman, who some people would know as he wrote one of the best episodes of New Who.
Dalek.
Exactly. And it was kind of a shame that he didn't stick around as a writer, because he's very talented. But he's written about 5, arguably, stories for Big Finish with Scherzo, Holy Terror, Jubilee, Chimes of Midnight, and Out of Bounds story with Derek Jacobi called Deadline, that was very meta. It was about like a writer writing Doctor Who. Yeah. I mean, he's a very meta writer. Each of those stories that he's written for Big Finish kind of breaks down and analyses what the Doctor is and what a lot of his enemies are.
So quite meta, and I think some of his stories are quite abstract at times. They do go to kind of bending reality and stuff like that, which is really cool. And that's something I guess the audios can do quite nicely, is because you don't need that visual side of it, you just need a sound or characters describing things, and you can go to a place that's just beyond our reality, which I think is awesome. And Big Finish does that quite a bit. I think one thing that I really love about Big Finish is that, like I said, it does redeem a lot of problems with the show.
Yeah.
Specifically for me, like the Sixth Doctor, Colin Baker, who was a doctor who did not get the justice, on the TV show, bless him. But when he's given really good writing and stuff like Jubilee, The Holy Terror, even the Marian Conspiracy, and he gets a much better companion in the form of Evelyn Smythe.
He's very different in Big Finish.
Yes.
I think part of it is that it had been a few years since he played the role, and his voice had changed a bit, and he's a very friendly Doctor.
He's a lot more warmer.
By and large in Big Finish. They really softened his personality from this show. I mean, he's one of the most... For many people, he's the worst Doctor. But if you listen to Big Finish, I think most people would rank him far higher.
I do now. I like him more than some other Doctors.
Yeah, and there's elements of his character that they explored a lot better. Like, one of the biggest jokes in the fandom was the Sixth Doctor's regeneration.
Oh yeah, and they did like a whole box set called The Last Adventure.
For those who don't know, in the original, the TARDIS rocks about, and then the Sixth Doctor bangs his head on the console.
Wasn't he on the exercise bike drinking carrot juice or something, and then he fell off and banged his head, and then that's it, that's how he dies. That's like the most ungraceful Doctor death
So
ever.
Big Finish have basically retconned that. Recently they did The Last Adventure, which is a 4-part epic story. He gets a proper satisfying last speech.
Yeah, I actually listened to that last speech on YouTube.
Oh yeah?
And it was really nice. It's actually kind of better than some of the ones that are in the modern series. It's quite, not so over the top, a bit more subtle. And one thing I think also Big Finish does really well is it gets villains so right. Even the Daleks and the Cybermen.
Yes, the Daleks actually kill people. That's always nice.
Yeah, and in a story like the War Master series, which I have got right here. Very nice, very nice.
Lovely pieces of cardboard around there.
Collecting cardboard. I think even the Daleks are in Only the Good, which is the first box set. They're not always the villain, spoilers, but even just their presence is felt. Just having them there, and the way that they're written at Big Finish, that they're really put at the forefront, and you can tell maybe a lot of these writers are fans of the show, like Nicholas Briggs, even Rob Sheehan.
He's written for the show for a long time. You may know him as the current voice of the Daleks and the Cybermen. He's very famous, and he's one of the producers at Big Finish, and he helps edit a lot of the scripts and direct where things are going. He's even narrated a few of the stories. Yeah, I think he is the mastermind of Big Finish. Even though a lot of people do contribute to it, I think he's probably the man steering the ship in some ways. And it's one of my picks for a new showrunner, or even though it probably won't happen. No. I think he would do a great job. I think if Doctor Who got cancelled and say off BBC and Netflix bought it, if Nicholas Briggs, this is dream fan wank. Oh yeah. If Netflix got Doctor Who and it was a season-long arc and Nicholas Briggs was writing it, and he had darker stories. Yeah. And he had a lot more room to do what he wants, like he does in Big Finish. Maybe more serialised stories. Yeah. Because obviously with the show, it's very self-contained. Especially the recent series was 45 minutes each episode. Very little running between. There wasn't even a series arc. No. Whereas with Netflix, they do more of a serialised style of things. Another great thing about Big Finish is that it has had a sort of an influence on the show. Recently in Series 10, Capaldi's final series, and also Stephen Moffat's last series, we had World Enough in Time and The Doctor Falls. Oh yeah, which weared its influences on its sleeve. Yes. Spare Parts, as we said before, it was essentially the genesis of the Cybermen. A story that we'd always wanted to see told, and that it was told in the audio form. Yeah, a lot of body horror. Yeah, and then in World Enough in Time, the Master says, I think this is a genesis of the Cybermen, which is very much like Spare Parts. I think Capaldi also really wanted the Mondasian Cybermen, so the mix between the fans going, we want Spare Parts on TV, and then also Capaldi going, give me the Mondasian Cybermen. Probably Moffat was fine. They're a wonderfully creepy design, because they're the closest looking to humans. I think one other thing as well, that Big Finish has done very well, although I've only listened to one story like this, the idea of pure historicals, because obviously the classic series did quite a few with Marco Polo, but Big Finish did the Marian Conspiracy, which has the Sixth Doctor and introduces new companion
who's a history teacher, Evelyn Smythe,
Yes.
who I love.
Many people, one of many people's favourite companions.
Yeah, pretty good TARDIS team.
Because she actually kind of offsets the Doctor's arrogance, especially the Sith Doctors, because she doesn't like take any of it. You know, compared to Perry, who was like very passive.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to the 10th Doctor and Donna, where the 10th Doctor has a big ego, and Donna really puts him in his place.
Yeah, and as you go along, like Evelyn has become one of my favourite companions.
She's really enjoyable, and with the Marian Conspiracy, it really proves that a pure historical can be done really well.
Oh yeah.
And it's really bizarre because in Series 11 there was a few opportunities to do like a pure historical, like Rosa.
Yeah, like Witchfinders or Rosa could have been.
Demons of the Punjab could have been a pure historical as well, because the villain's not even, you know, an alien.
Really. Yeah.
Exactly. So there you go. And I love that story.
So
it does a really good job of portraying history, but also not, you know, not portraying it in a way that seems fake. You know, it even tells the stories of the people in power, the royals.
Yeah, part of what's interesting about that story was you had, wasn't it, what people call Bloody Mary? Isn't that the right?
Bloody Mary, yeah.
That was it.
Mary, Queen of Scots.
That was it. So she, in her time, made it illegal to be a Protestant, and she burned them at the stake if they didn't convert to Catholicism. Right? That's historically accurate. But her sort of reputation has been bigged up in the history books, and like Evelyn hates her. And in the story, you meet her, and she's just not what you expect at all.
They humanise her really well, and she seems like a really nice lady, and Colin Baker seems to get on with her quite well.
It is bizarre because you know what she's doing is wrong, you know, and yet she can justify it to herself, you know, and is almost convincing. You know, she actually thinks she's saving people, you know, which is great.
And on the flip side, they also Evelyn gets to interact with a lot of peasants in just pubs, like talking about, oh, we hate Queen Mary and stuff. And showing both sides of that in history is fascinating. I like seeing what's life for the high class and the lower classes. And I think Marian Conspiracy, if you wanted a pure historical story, that one is.
There are other two you still need to listen to, like The Settling, they meet Oliver Cromwell.
Oh.
And No Man's Land, which is like set in World War One.
Wow.
That was really good. Another really interesting thing about Big Finish is they've had a lot of room to be experimental with what Doctor Who can do. You know, with the show, it often falls into the Doctor and companions travel to a historical setting where evil aliens are up to no good, then they stop them.
Yes, and I think that's down to not only audiences being used to that, but also budget.
Yes, whereas Big Finish have been much more willing to shake things up a bit. We've already mentioned how they've done a series for the War Master. They've done a series for Davros as well.
Yeah, well, Davros.
Oh yeah, you still need to listen to that.
I do, yeah. I'll go around to it. There's quite a few. Sam's ahead of me. He's listened to quite a few more.
Yes. Well, there's another great one called Live 34, which is done in the style of essentially some news broadcasts and documentaries on this planet that's being overrun by fascism, essentially. And the Doctor and the companions are trying to overthrow that. And in the story, they're kind of like background characters for a lot of it, and you get a very slanted view on what they're doing. And that was really interesting. Another one I keep mentioning, Scherzo. That's set in a universe where the Doctor and his companion can't even see or hear or smell or taste. It's like a universe beyond our comprehension, which is perfect for an audio format. You know?
You can get some really high concept sci-fi ideas. And yeah, with experimentation, I like the idea that Big Finish is not afraid to break format sometimes. Obviously, there'll be more traditional stories.
Because you've listened to like Creatures of Beauty, haven't you?
Yes, Creatures of Beauty, that's another one. It's a kind of not to spoil it, but a bit of a non-linear narrative.
Yeah.
In terms of how it's told, which, I mean, I wasn't crazy about, but I did quite enjoy it in some bits.
Yeah, I loved it. One of the cool things is that the Doctor actually leaves halfway through the story, and then the next half of it is a lot of flashbacks that recontextualizes events in a completely different way.
So things are sort of told out of order, and then you almost get the beginning of the story at the end of the story, which is quite interesting. So yeah, thank you guys for watching.
Thank you very much.
Let us know your thoughts on Big Finish and any favourite stories you got, you know, for instance, like Spare Parts, Chance of Midnight, anything like that. And yeah, thanks for watching.
Yeah, I highly recommend giving them a look in the coming year.
So join us next time. Take care and goodbye.
Bye-bye.